Welcome to Weekly Reddit, and in today's episode of r/Am I the Asshole? Am I the asshole for not asking my Phil to leave my house after my divorce because my ex-wife no longer has a mum? Am I the asshole for showing my boyfriend a movie that offended him? Am I the asshole for not switching places with my friend and ruining her life? Am I the asshole for telling my mill that I'm not the one with fertility issues? Am I the asshole for calling my brother a jealous dropout? Am I the asshole for not asking my Phil to leave my house after my divorce because my ex-wife no longer has a mum? My ex-wife, 35F, Kate, and I, 36M, grew up as next-door neighbors. We, along with our siblings, basically lived at both houses and were parented by the adults at whichever house we happened to be in at the time. My dad died when I was a teenager, and her dad became kind of a stand-in dad to me from then on. Kate and I dated throughout high school, took a break to do our own thing in college, but that only lasted 2 years before we got back together. We moved in together and transferred to a larger university to finish our undergrad. We took advantage of summer and winter term courses to speed things up and get a few more degrees faster. Up until the age of 26, when we were both finishing up school, her father supported us financially where we couldn't. He had a very good business and was quite well off. My mom was doing okay, but she had pseudo-retired to Florida by this time and was living with her retired sister. She couldn't help much. Kate and I had a rocky start to our careers, moving around frequently and one of us always having a commute that sometimes took us across an entire state. 5 years ago, her dad lost his business and most of his wealth due to a few bad investments, and bad intent, from a business partner, so he moved in with us and we began supporting him in return for all of the years he'd done that for us. We had an in-law suite already for my mum to use when she visited. He and I continued our father-son type relationship and it was all working out great. About a year before COVID, she began taking long trips and refusing to tell me where she was going. By the summer, she was asking for a divorce, saying that she had changed too much to continue our marriage. She got half of most everything, both cars, half of our savings, our vacation home and various appliances, plus all of the expensive jewelry I'd bought for her over the years. She promptly sold the vacation home and the jewelry and had much more liquid funds than I did. Most of mine was wrapped up in the house and investments. I had to use a good chunk of the savings to buy a new car and appliances. Now, she and her friends are messaging me quite hateful things because she just found out that her dad never moved out when we divorced because she rarely talks to him now. Her mom died when we were in college, and she is accusing me of stealing her remaining parent. Phil doesn't have the money to move out, or a reason to. She says I should have given her dad a large sum of money to move out after the divorce, even though she was the one with the liquid funds at the time, that it was inconsiderate to continue to live with her dad when we aren't together anymore. Am I the asshole? Edit. Thanks for the awards and all the support. This is awesome to feel validated. Am I the asshole for showing my boyfriend a movie that offended him? I, 20F, am a big movie buff. My boyfriend, 24M, is really into superhero movies, and that's it, but I've been getting him into watching movies with me. I taped the movie Death Trap. I hadn't watched it in a while and I remembered it being really funny, so we watched it together. Rewatching it, my opinion didn't change at all, but my boyfriend was really quiet afterwards. I asked him what was wrong and he told me he couldn't believe he had to see Superman and Pennyworth kiss, because Christopher Reeve and Michael Caine kiss in the movie. I kind of laughed it off, but that wasn't the end of it. He keeps making comments about it. This morning, I was cleaning and he asked if he could put the product in his eyes because of it. I was like, okay haha, but then he brings it up again during brunch saying he's not going to be able to keep the food down because he saw Superman and Pennyworth kiss. I asked him if it was really that big of a deal to him, and he said Superman was his favorite childhood movie and he won't be able to watch it again. Two of my best friends are a lesbian couple, and I know he likes them, so I don't want to think this is a homophobia issue, but because of how much older Michael Caine was? I don't know, I am confused that it offended him so much. He said that I could at least have given a warning, knowing that he loves Superman so much. It wasn't even a full-on makeout though, and it only happens once. Am I the asshole? Edit, there seems to be a bit of confusion, so I'll put it here. It's the same actors kissing, not actually the characters of Superman and Pennyworth. Christopher Reeve and Michael Caine are playing two different characters in the movie, Clifford Anderson and Sidney Browl. Edit 2, I mean Pennyworth as in Alfred Pennyworth, Batman's butler. Not Pennywise the demon clown. I've seen a lot of people confused, and I think it's my fault for just calling him by last name. Sorry. Am I the asshole for not switching places with my friend and ruining her life? This happened a couple weeks ago, but I'm still getting shit about it. A friend of mine, Dia, fake name, asked me if I wanted to come with her on some errands and see her new car. I said yes because I had some things to get done and my car was being checked over. We're in the same bubble and stayed masked the whole time. Well, while we were out, Dia ended up hitting another car while turning left. We were both shaken but mostly fine yet, but when I started to call the police, Dia started freaking out even more. She started begging me not to call the cops and to just go talk to the other driver. I didn't feel comfortable not calling them, so I went ahead and did. Then Dia started begging me to get in the driver's seat, saying I had to get in the driver's seat, I had to claim I was the one driving. Turns out Dia doesn't have a license. She wanted a car but didn't feel like getting her license, so her mom bought the car for her. I didn't feel comfortable lying to the police, so I continued to refuse and just got out of the car and waited on the sidewalk for them to get there. Well, Dia got arrested for driving without a license, insurance, or registration for her car, and just told me today she has been found at fault for the accident. Now Dia, her mom, and half of our friends are saying I'm an asshole for not just switching places. She is now facing multiple fines, possible jail time, and being kicked out of our MA program because of all this. I tried to explain that I didn't feel comfortable lying to the police, but she just keeps calling me a privileged bitch and wishing horrible things would happen to me. So am I the asshole for not switching places with her? Edit. Several people have said I should include this, and I'm sorry I didn't in the original post. This was much more serious than a fender bender. This was my response to someone else. She took the entire front of his car off, or at least it looked like it. We were at an intersection and she was in a left turn lane with a yellow light and didn't look before she went. The other gentleman was coming the opposite way going straight. Both cars are totaled. The gentleman was not unconscious as I originally thought, but he did hit his head on the steering wheel and he had to be taken to the hospital. He did eventually get out of his car with help, and that's when I believe I should have talked to him. Dia and I were mostly alright with just some bumps and bruises. Edit 2. Someone suggested I add this because of people saying I am the asshole for calling the police, but for major accidents such as this one where I live, you are required by law to call the police and file a report. Am I the asshole for telling my mill that I'm not the one with fertility issues? Me, 32M, and my wife, 32F, have been trying to have a baby for several years now. Unfortunately, she is probably unable to get pregnant. We've run several tests, and it's only hers that come back with bad news. Additionally, I accidentally got a girl pregnant a few years before I met my wife. The girl had an abortion. Point is, I can produce kids, but my wife probably can't. I don't blame this on my wife at all. In fact, I'm excited to talk about our other options, adoption, surrogates, etc. I love my wife so much and I want to raise kids together, even if it's not biological. I was on the phone with my wife's mom the other day, and she started saying some weird stuff. She said it was okay that I couldn't have kids, but maybe we could find a sperm donor for my wife, and that she knew I'd be a good dad even if the kid wasn't related to me, etc. I was confused, so I told my mill that my wife was the one who was having fertility issues. My mill told me that my wife told her I was the one with fertility issues. I was sure it was a harmless misunderstanding, so I talked about it with my wife, and she got really mad at me. She said I had no right to tell her mom that she was having issues getting pregnant. She said it was something very personal to her and she felt awful just thinking about how her mom now knew it was her fault. We can't have kids easily, it's not her fault. She didn't choose to have these issues. She said that it was her mom and I should have just gone along with it because she always wants to be seen as good and capable in her mom's eyes. I feel bad, but I had no idea she had told her mom it was me. Also, I don't know why she had to say who had issues with fertility when she could just say that we are having issues. My wife said I was an asshole for telling her mom. Am I? Am I the asshole for calling my brother a jealous dropout? I am in the process of retiring from the military after a 23-plus-year career and my spouse and I are looking to move to Texas, which our family knows about. The other day I posted on my Facebook that we had begun the home search process and narrowed down roughly where we want to move. Most of my friends and family are of course excited and happy, though they do wish we would move closer. Family and in-laws live relatively close in either GA, SC, or NC, so easy to visit, but they understand our reasoning in moving to Texas with the numerous veteran benefits. On the post a couple of friends were asking what kind of house we are looking at and I replied, 4+ bed, 2+ bath, 2,500 SQFT minimum. For some reason this seems to have struck a nerve with one of my brothers who begins questioning why we want such a big house with just my spouse and I, as we don't have kids being a same-sex couple. I initially explained that we would have our master bedroom, a guest room. And since my spouse works from home he can set up a room as an office like we have now, and then use another room for his video games and crafts. Currently this hobbies and work are all in one room. But we feel separating the two would give him a break from his work and playtime, so he doesn't feel like he spends all day in that one room. Also, we have floated the idea of adopting now that we won't be moving every couple of years with the military. I thought that would be it. But no. My brother then proceeded to rant about how him and his girlfriend and her toddler live just fine in a micro home. It's a converted storage shed that resembles a home from the outside, and that all that extra space is going to be higher utility bills, taxes, and just wasted space. At this point I was irritated and replied, quit being a jealous dropout. I have bust my ass for 23+ years to get where I am. Maybe if you hadn't dropped out of high school you wouldn't be living in a storage building and judging how I spend my check. My spouse and a couple of family members and friends said I went too far and was an A for that response, and that I should apologize. I don't feel I owe anyone an apology. Am I the asshole?
Don't forget to subscribe so you can stay up with the best content from Reddit.